Hello true believers. I'm happy to announce that the recent launch of the new Sentry ongoing series has spawned this very YouTube channel. So I thought it would be only appropriate if I started off with a review of the first issue. Don't worry, this review is spoiler free, more or less. If you haven't checked out the previews for the upcoming issues. In that case, better get the fuck out of here. But don't forget to like this video before you go back to clearing your browser history. And remember, no one is judging you here. Anyway, I will probably upload a spoiler video in 1 or 2 weeks to discuss the events of the first issue. I hope that by then, everyone has read the comic. And now, let's dive into the review. We have to start with the writer of the story, the man, the myth, the legend, Jeff Lemire. Jeff has a reputation as a character writer. And it's true. Jeff is at his best when he writes human stories. And if you ask me, that is a big feature of the Marvel Universe. The Marvel Universe is full of flawed men and women who are only trying to do the right thing. Sentry fits perfectly into that world, and a writer like Jeff is tailor-made for the Sentry. Luckily, that also shows in the comic. The first half of the first issue shows the appealing human side of the Sentry, more than the entire Mighty Avengers and Dark Avengers runs did. To quote the great Owen Wilson, wow. But, do not worry. The comic also features moon-shattering action and animal cruelty. Wait, what? Anyway, the first issue brings characters from a non-canon Sentry story into actual Marvel continuity. And these characters get more screen time than I had originally anticipated. All of that is a big plus, because it adds more depth and lore to the Sentry. And luckily for the Sentry, and all the Sentry fans out there, that trend continues with the next issue. My only minor gripe are 1 or 2 errors in the continuity. But I will talk more about that in the spoiler video. Let's talk about the art. Model artists nowadays tend to be hit and miss. And I'm happy to say that Kim Jacinto is one of those who put in the time and effort to make their comics look amazing. Kim's art is energetic and dynamic. You can see all the emotions in the characters' faces, and you can see their might oozing from them. However, there are a couple of rushed panels where Sentry looks like a member of the Conehead family. Rainbow Edo does an amazing job with the coloring overall. Unfortunately, there are a couple of panels which showcase all the 50 shades of grey. Last but not least, we should mention the editor, Tom Brevoort. Tom has been editing Sentry comics for over a decade now. He knows a lot about the character and should be able to provide all the necessary information to Jeff Lemire. On top of that, Tom gave his go on quite a few gory and memorable scenes in Sentry comics. Like for example, Sentry turning Eris, the god of war, into my 7th favorite meal, a bowl of spaghetti with tomato sauce. There are no rules in Sentry comics. Blink once, and your favorite character's upper body might be removed from his lower body by an unhealthy distance. I fucking love it. So, should you buy the book? Well, if you already are a Sentry fan, then you probably already have the book framed on a shrine and are worshipping the living hell out of it. In that case, welcome to the club. And if you don't know the Sentry or had a hard time getting into him, know that the Sentry is one of the most powerful superheroes in the Marvel Universe, but is held back by his own humanity. That very dynamic is what holds all the potential for great Sentry stories. And if there is a current writer who can tap into that potential, then it is Jeff Lemire. I believe in Jeff, and so should you. Overall, I give the first issue 4 out of 5 watchdogs and recommend it to all superhero fans across the board. But that is all from me for now. Have a nice day, and as always, stay vigilant.